an occult ritual and black magic. A black mirror is described as an object used for scrying, for summoning demons and performing rituals. How does this actually work? Well, in my opinion, the black mirror scrying tool is simply something that a conscious being can focus its will upon so tightly and for such long periods of time that your will, your attention, rips a veil in between our reality and the spiritual reality. And with your intent lands thereof the space that you find within the mirror. And if upon that mirror, if upon that focused point was already a predetermined action or will, then that is what you would manifest. That is entertainment. That is media. Something to set your point of attention, burn a hole through the veil of reality, and bring forth the pre-crafted and preset will and intention from the creator of the entertainment and the media. Thus, it can be said that the phone, the computer screen, the TV, and any other form of interactive, long-form communication can be seen as a method of spiritual energy transfer. Your energy, your loosh, your spiritual essence can be harvested through the action of focusing your point upon a preset, small, and dictated set of subconscious manipulation. And this can be used to bring about a change in physical reality, such as black magic. Black magic is the manipulation of the conscious being's awareness into a single point, unfocused from that conscious being's actual will onto the will of another, and using that energy to manifest a destiny, manifest a reality that was not the original will of the person who holds the conscious awareness. Thus, through the phone, through the computer, your will can be sent to places far away that you have no knowledge of. So, does that mean technology is inherently satanic? Black magic, energy harvesting, spiritual vampiric tool set? No. In the Bible it tells us that no weapon formed against us shall prosper, and those weapons shall be turned against our enemy. And so it is here. Someone asked me why I make videos. What was the purpose of it? And I had to think about it for a long time, because I knew there was a purpose, and I was quite determined and passionate to fulfill it, but I didn't know a specific word or set of words to describe that purpose in that moment. I think what I am about to say is going to be the most concisely formed definition that I can bring through language into the material world. For the real truth cannot be spoken, but I can get as close as I possibly can so that you can infer the spiritual truth through the message. Through this black mirror spiritual transfer tool, what essentially I can accomplish is I can take a piece of spiritual information that I have within myself, and through imagery, through music, and through the spoken word, I can transfer that information onto another individual so that they may receive the same truth through the lens of their own subconscious and subjective interpretation of reality. That is the purpose of the videos, so that you may receive information that I cannot otherwise spell out in such a basic format. Although it is true, the people who run this world use these black magic tools such as the cell phone to harvest spiritual energy from you. Once you understand this concept, you have the choice of not allowing that to be so, and you can use these tools against the enemy in order to fulfill your own will and your own destiny. However, fulfilling your own destiny in the sense that you harvest other people's will towards a specific goal in material reality is just as satanic as the people who originally came up with the concept for the technology, and it is just as manipulative. What I seek to do is simply give information and allow someone to make their own decision upon that spiritual information. One cannot understand something truly between one person to another without some transfer of spiritual energy. There must be a communication on a spiritual level in order for there to be true understanding between two individuals. Therefore, through this black mirror, I do my own magic. I serve God's will to the best of my ability and seek to guide people towards the truth. I use this platform and these mechanics that I've come to understand and manipulate them in order to take the veil off of people's eyes rather than set another one upon them. I wish to remove the scales from people's eyes, remove the lack of context, and turn back the time of the amnesiac, false remembrance, trauma loop of reality, and bring back little pieces of spiritual knowledge and intuition that I have gathered into these presentations. And this is the way that I am doing it. And this is the way I believe the enemy creates his own destruction. Though everything the enemy does, he has his own reasons for, God also has his reasons for doing things. Therefore, in the end, all things lead to God's projected destiny for reality, a thing that we are all part of. And this is no different. It is no coincidence that things are the way they are, and it's no coincidence that we have access to these tools. And while it's true these tools have been harmful in many ways to many different people and to the overall population, the actual goal of living and existing in this reality from the beginning is being fulfilled through these tools. So therefore, it is to say that the ends justify the means. And none of us specifically chose this destiny to have things be the way that they are. It's simply the fact that through our own shame and our own wanting to hide from God, that we manifested this destiny upon ourselves. And now, through this transformational realm, through this realm of change and lack of understanding, the process of regaining that understanding and regaining that knowledge is the transformational process in and of itself. Because the process of transforming yourself spiritually also transforms who you are on an individual level. So by the act of seeking God, of seeking spiritual information, you simultaneously transform the etched imprint genetic, true name, spiritual pattern of your higher level existence. You're able to make a change that's simply deeper than your mental state. You're able to make a change that's deeper than your body or your mind. You make a change that's greater than your habits or your culture or your money, the things that you have. Everything piece by piece begins to fall away, like clay on a golden cast. And as the clay falls, you see more and more of that shining light beaming through the cracks, and more pieces fall away to reveal the actual creation. And so this too is the same. This too is of that essence. Though technology scars us, as damages us through this process, when you take a step back and you become more and more spiritually aware and more aligned with truth, you come to see that even that was part of the process. Because simply, how could you have empathy for yourself and empathy for other people if you were not on a level low enough to begin with to experience that pain in the first place? You were granted unlimited power for the rest of time, and you were an immortal being that had no constrictions whatsoever. You would have no real experience because the friction of good and evil, the meeting of communication and non-communication, the point where the metal meets the hammer and the sparks fly, the sparks in their present moment from the transformational existence of reality, that is the true manifestation of our unconscious will. At the point where pain meets growth is where we live our lives. Each and every moment is a transformational sequence onto itself. And the more that you come to understand, the more you come to transform in each moment. And you see how much you change from one moment to the next on a profound and unexplainable level. In this place, our intuition and our spiritual power can only go so far in manipulating our outside environment. But within the inner environment, we have an unlimited power to change it into whatever we would like. And if we can change the inside environment, paradoxically, it turns itself inside out into the outside environment, because everything here is an inversion. So the deeper you look into that mirror, the deeper you stare into that void and are forced to look at yourself through the mirror and are forced to focus your attention and will towards what you are, what you have been, and what you will be, the more capacity you have to change that fate. The more capacity you have to escape the cyclic bifurcation of eternal death and rebirth, eternal sequencing through different realities and different fallen states. And you go up a level, and up a level, and up a level again. At some point, the words cannot attach to the message, because the message is something that is eternal. It's like it's a flat surface completely devoid of porous material. It has no holes, it has no rough surfaces for anything to attach to. It can only be observed and it can only be experienced. You cannot attach your ego to it. You cannot attach what you are to it. It simply is. And what language is attaching your own ego and subjective experience of reality onto a spiritual concept and attempting to ride that energy to communicate a certain idea. So you must ask yourself, when you focus your attention, what are you focusing your attention on, and for what purpose do you do it so? Because most people are sleepwalking. And I'm not talking about the masses, I'm talking about real people here. Most real people are still sleepwalking. They are walking around diverting their attention to whichever gains the most pleasure through their dopamine cycle. The dopamine pleasure cycle of the mind is only effective when you believe that your mind holds precedent over your spiritual conscious will. Once you understand that you are simply the observational awareness behind the mind and that you have the precedence and you have the control over your own self, you can make the conscious decision to experience that subconscious manipulation, feel the need and the temptation, and yet still say no and deny yourself. Your mind is like a different individual altogether. It has different motives than you do, has different understandings of things than you do, and it is always confrontational with the spiritual will. In the Bible, it talks about how you cannot serve two masters. You cannot serve Mammon and God all at once. You must serve only one, for your attention cannot be divided into two places at once. It can only be focused on one thing at a time. And if you split your attention between the two at different times more frequently, each of them will have no effect. So that is the intention behind the black magic, subconscious, black mirror, attention diverting, spiritual energy vampirism, is by essentially rendering your attention ineffectual by dividing it into enough pieces to where no one piece has enough of your awareness in order to have a constructive effect. That is black magic. How to overcome black magic? Well, how I overcome it is by sitting for long periods of time and thinking about a concept, usually with music on in the background. Distracting my mind is basically what I do. I give my mind something in the background to be entertained with or, distracted with, and I allow my spirit to focus on something the entire time so that my mind does not interfere. I believe that's the essence of meditation. Of course, most meditation subscribes that you have no other distractions, but to me, in this world that we live in, it is more effective for most younger people, at least, to have some sort of background distraction like atmospheric music in order to basically keep their mind occupied and to keep it from diverting their attention any more than it already does. So that is very effective for me, and that is how I've had many spiritual breakthroughs, is through that method. Distracting my mind with atmospheric music in the background and then focusing my spirit on a single point. And it's like in these videos, I focus my spirit on a certain aspect or a certain message, and then I send that through that spiritual communication device to you, and you receive the spiritual communication, whether consciously or unconsciously. Not every video can be as powerful as the next. It does take a certain rare mood for me to truly transfer some powerful energy through this format, but it can be done. You cannot be so clinical about it if you wish to do this kind of work. It's kind of, I suppose, magic. I don't like using that word in reference to this because I believe I'm doing God's will by disseminating the truth. But I guess you could say it is magic, white magic, I suppose, if you wanted to put a label on it. I simply call it worshiping God. This is my form of worshiping God, essentially. So, that is why I do this, to send a message. Today, I was not so inspired, although I hope you got something out of that. At another time, I hope I will be, and I'll be able to give something a little bit more powerful, a little bit more palpable. Even so, I will put this out. And also, I have a new microphone, so tell me what you think. Tell me if it's too loud, not loud enough, so on and so forth. And I have one last thing for you. I'm going to read a short poem. Gray and cast, brick wall, aformed, driven nail to the drywall forn, hammered deep, now it lay within, set on a track and looped to spin. Round and round and round it goes. Where it may end, no one knows. Reflected back what once was true. For it is what you feel, not what you do. God bless.